My mom used me to plan my sister's perfect wedding, then totally iced me out, left me off the guest list. It was a text. "You're not coming to the wedding. Mia's family doesn't want you there." That's it. No apology, nothing. Just cold, hard words staring back at me from my phone. My coffee got cold while I stared at it, rereading it over and over. I finally just typed back, "So you picked fancy status over your own kid." No smiley faces, no games, just the plain truth. Then I didn't even think twice. I fired up my laptop, logged into the wedding planner's site, and canceled the venue. It was booked under my name, paid for with my card. They were clueless. And the best part, it was totally non-refundable. I shut the laptop, leaned back, and just stared at the wall. I wasn't angry, not even sad, really. It was more like everything shifted. Like I was seeing things from a whole new angle. This wasn't the first time, you know. It wasn't always this blatant, this in your face. But I felt it. In those side-eyed glances, those little digs at family dinners, the fact that they forgot my birthday 3 years running and blamed some stupid group chat. Mia became their dream daughter, you know. And I was just Jack, the handyman, the quiet one, always there to help. I picked out the dress shop. I nailed down the caterer. I even found those heirlooms for everyone coming in from out of town. Zach's folks thought the Colorado Lodge was too rough around the edges, so I found them a fancy place instead, one with a killer lake view. I even whipped up their Save the Date website. They used my Canva account. I still had the password, you know. But honestly, I was feeling like a total weight around their necks. Mia's dad, he hated my vibe, man, so I wore all black to breakfast that day because I flat out asked where the $3,000 for the caterer went, and I didn't back down when Mom just said, "Trust us." They were always leaning on me, you know, until they weren't. Suddenly, they were building this perfect little family picture, and I wasn't in it. All these forced smiles and fake happiness. No Jack, just the important people. I took a deep breath, then opened our shared folder, Mia and Zach wedding planning. I looked through all the pictures, contracts, and vendor stuff. Then I deleted everything I'd put in there, every single one of the 63 files. I even renamed the folder Good Luck Without Me. I didn't say a word to anyone. No warning. I let them figure it out in the morning when they tried to confirm the florist. Let them panic when the photographer wasn't around. Let them freak when the venue emailed them saying the reservation was canceled. They figured I'd just shut up and smile, swallow it all down like I always did. But this wasn't about the wedding, you know? This was the final crack in something that'd been breaking for years. They handed me the scissors, expecting me not to cut the rope. They wanted me gone. Consider it done. They never saw it coming, how I'd just disappear, taking everything with me. And honestly, I was just getting warmed up. They always pegged me as the drama queen, the one who makes a big deal out of everything. But I'll tell you how I got to be that way. Flashback 6 months. It was a Friday night and Mia was bawling on the phone. Zach had lost his job. Their rent downtown was 3 months behind. They tried to work something out with the landlord, but he wanted the full amount, or he'd start eviction proceedings on Monday. I didn't even blink. I sent $3,800 from my savings and told her to call if they needed more. That was the 3rd time that year I'd bilayed them out. The first time, Dad accidentally took too much out of his retirement and needed $5,000 to avoid penalties. The second time, Mom forgot Mia's bachelorette party was on my card, and those girls trashed the airbnb. I kept records. I saved all the receipts, not because I planned to use them, but so I could prove to myself that I wasn't losing it, that I wasn't imagining the constant flow of money, time, and effort going to a family who acted like I was some sort of ATM. But it wasn't just the money. It was how they saw me. Like I was their go-to guy, a servant, even while I was fixing Dad's gutters in a freaking thunderstorm. My dad always cracked jokes saying I should be a stay-at-home husband because you're not cut out to be the main provider, son. Everyone thought it was funny, even Mia. Later, when I brought it up to Mom, she told me I was being too sensitive. Dad just shrugged and said he was old-fashioned. Old-fashioned. This is the same guy who kicked me out of the house in high school for wearing eyeliner. So yeah, maybe I was a little sensitive. Mia told me about her engagement over FaceTime, with Mom and Dad sitting right behind her, beaming and whooping it up. They'd helped her plan the whole proposal with Zach. We even went ring shopping together, the 3 of them. Me? I found out on a phone screen. I should have seen it coming, honestly. But I don't know, I kept hoping that if I did enough, they'd finally start treating me like I mattered. I shelled out $600 for the engagement photos, set up the wedding website, designed these fancy invitations. I even put a deposit down on the venue because Mom's credit card was acting up. I was practically building their dream wedding, one piece at a time, while they fed me leftovers and patted me on the back for being such a good sport. Then the text started. Aunt Megan out of the blue asked, "Hey, I heard you're not invited to the wedding. Is that true?" Then Uncle Jeff chimed in. Did you say something to Zach's dad? Just wondering. And then the Facebook post, the one that really shattered me. A picture of Mia and Zach with my parents standing behind them in front of this fancy barn all lit up with fairy lights. The caption said, "So proud of our family. Can't wait for the big day with all the right people." And I wasn't even tagged. I was scrolling through the comments and one of Mia's friends asked if Jack would be at the wedding. He was always such a riot, you know. Mia's reply, "We're keeping it small, just close friends and family." That night, forget sleep. I went through every single receipt, every email, every text where they'd called me selfish for wanting my money back. And it hit me. I was the only one in this whole family who ever gave without wanting something back. And guess what? I got absolutely nothing in return. A few days later, bam, a group text. "Hey family, let's all chip in for Mia's bridal shower decorations. Jack, since you're a whiz with websites, can you whip up an RSVP page? Love you." I didn't even bother replying. 10 minutes later, Mia texted me personally. "Can you just do this one thing without being a jerk?" So I did something completely different. I logged into the wedding venue's account and requested a refund on our $2,500 deposit. It was supposed to be non-refundable, but smart me, I'd bought wedding insurance when we booked, you know, that tiny little box you almost miss. They gave me back 90% after I filed a claim for family conflict. Then I hopped onto Canva and deleted every single design I'd made: the RSVPs, the seating chart, even the welcome signs. I made a new file, named it Ask Zach's Dad to Fix This, and shared it with the whole family. That's when all hell broke loose. 3 hours later, Mom called, completely freaking out. "What are you doing? Do you have any idea what this looks like?" I told him, "Yeah, I do. That's exactly why I'm doing this." Then my dad called and he just launched right into yelling. "You've always been jealous of Mia. This is just more of the same. You can't handle her having a better life." I held the phone away from my ear and hung up on him. Later that night, my phone blew up. Mia posted on her Instagram story, "Betrayal always hurts the most when it comes from family." Then my mom shared a picture of Mia crying, saying something like, "Nothing worse than your own brother trying to wreck your big day." People started messaging me, friends, cousins. Some were like, "Are you all right?" But most didn't even ask. They just went off on me. "Why would you screw up her wedding?" I didn't reply to anyone. Then I got this package, a plain yellow envelope, no return address. Inside was a printed-out screenshot of a group chat, Mia's bridesmaids. Mia was basically gloating. "We'll guilt Jack into paying for the cake, too. Just lay it on thick about him being the only brother. It always works." Then another message popped up. "Zach doesn't even like him," it said. "He told me Jack creeps him out." And another one, "Lowell, one more thing. He won't be at the wedding. I'll see to that. Just watch." There was a sticky note stuck on top. The handwriting looked familiar. "You deserve better, Kay." I didn't know who Kay was, but I was going to find out. And when I did, everything changed. Kay didn't just have screenshots. Kay had recordings. And the second I heard them, I knew exactly what I was going to do at Mia's rehearsal dinner. That fancy rehearsal dinner was at some winery way out in the sticks. They called it rustic luxury, but I knew it was just a way to charge an arm and a leg for wine and twinkle lights in the trees. Still, I went. I got myself all dressed up, played it cool, stayed focused. See, I wasn't there for the food. I was there to burn it all down. I walked in right as they were raising their glasses. Mia was laughing her head off, Zach's arm wrapped around her. My dad looked like a deer in headlights. Mom wouldn't even look at me. They were definitely surprised to see me. I figured they expected me to be the bad guy, the jealous sibling who wrecks everything and can't move on. But I wasn't angry anymore. I was just done. I walked right up to the front like I owned the place. "Sorry to interrupt," I said quietly, tapping a glass to get their attention. Everyone went silent except for one person who let out this nervous giggle. Mia's face scrunched up. I pulled a small speaker out of my jacket and put it on the table. Then I held up a flash drive. Zach jumped up. "What are you doing?" he asked. I looked right at him and said, "Giving you exactly what you deserve." I pressed play. "Speaker's on," I said. "Turn it up." A girl's voice came out, Mia giggling. She was saying, "We'll make Jack pay for the cake, too. Just lay the guilt trip on him about being the only brother. It always works." You could hear a pin drop. People's jaws hit the floor. Someone gasped. A fork dropped. I didn't even blink. Then another voice, totally different, came on. It was Zach saying, "I don't even like him. He gives me the creeps. Lol." Zach went pale. Mia lunged for the speaker, but I stepped in front of it. "Sit down," I told her. It wasn't a question. Then came the last clip. "He won't be here, trust me," Mia said, almost under her breath, like she was sure of herself. "I'll make sure of it, just watch." I hit pause and glanced around at everyone. Anyone have anything to say? Zach started to say something, then stopped. My dad stood up, absolutely furious. "Do you think this is okay? Seriously, do you?" "Sit down," I told him, my voice sharp. For once, he actually listened. I turned to Mia. I spent over 11 grand on this wedding. I built your website, haggled with the venue, and even paid your florist. I did it because stupidly I thought we were family. Mia was trembling. Her mascara was running down her face. You don't understand. No, I said back. You're the one who doesn't get it. You never did. You never wanted a brother. You just wanted a free ride. I pulled out the folder then, packed with printouts, screenshots, and all those texts from her parents, the PayPal receipts, the invoices I'd paid, and the ones I saved when everyone else forgot. The group text where Mia introduced me as the family's free wedding planner. I handed them to Zach. You still want to marry her? I asked. He just stared at the pages. No answer. Then a woman in a gray coat stood up from the back. She had a badge on and a phone in her hand. Hi, everyone, she said. Sorry to interrupt. I'm Kristen. Jack and I used to work together. I also run a digital forensics place. Jack asked me to check some files, she said, looking at Mia, and to make sure they weren't fakes. She held up her phone. This audio, it's completely real. No edits, no nothing. Wow, this just resurfaced from a WhatsApp backup from my old number. Don't sweat it, I have all the details too. Mia's jaw just dropped. Mom gasped. Is this a joke? Dad practically yelled. Kristen just grinned, not even a little bit. Then the bomb dropped. Zach turned to Mia. You told me Jack said those things to you, that he threatened you, that he was a mess. He held up the printouts. You lied. She reached for his arm. No, Zach, don't touch me. Then everything went nuts. My aunt got up and started going off. Someone knocked over a glass. My mom tried to say something, but she just choked. And through all of it, I just stood there, quiet and calm, watching it all go down. When the chaos reached its peak, I spoke up one last time. I'm not going to the wedding. You already made that call. But now you can do it without any of my money, any of my help, and definitely not my silence. I turned to my parents. You cut me out the second you realized I wouldn't be your little puppet anymore, so I'm cutting the strings too. Then, as I was about to leave, Zach spoke. I'm calling it off, he said, loud and clear. Mia screamed this awful high-pitched scream that just cut through the air. You can't do this here. Oh, I said, he just did. And then I just walked out, no dramatic music or anything, no slow motion. Just the sound of everything they'd put together crumbling behind me. I didn't drive home after the rehearsal dinner. I didn't even head for the highway. Instead, I took a back road north that was quiet and didn't have any cell service. A month before, I'd taken a lease on a tiny house in a forgotten part of the state. 600 people lived there, just a diner and a gas station. Nobody knew me, and that's exactly what I wanted. I paid for 6 months up front. No forwarding address, no digital footprint, just silence. For the first 3 days, I left my phone off. I didn't check my email. I didn't talk to anyone. I just sat on the porch with black coffee, listening to the birds fight over land they'd never even get. I didn't feel like I'd won, but I did feel free. The knot in my neck loosened. No more guilt. No one was asking me for anything. Nobody was pretending to like me just long enough to get something. On day 4, I went into town and signed up for this archival preservation class at the local college. I'd been too ashamed to do it before. History, old newspapers, letters, stuff that was forgotten. Finally, I was surrounded by actual records that were preserved the right way. There wasn't any of that fake stuff there. No demands, no you owe me. I volunteered at the county museum, helping to organize old photos from the 50s, fixing an old microfilm machine. And for once, it didn't matter if nobody knew I did it. Quietly mine. About a week later, the messages started trickling into my old Gmail, the one linked to my emergency phone. I didn't open the first few, but the subject line said it all. Can we just talk? You went too far. We're still family. After the blocked calls came, there were so many, I just turned the phone off. They weren't trying to work things out. They were trying to change the rules. What freaked them out wasn't the proof of anything. It was the quiet, not knowing what I was up to, because for once they weren't calling the shots. 3 weeks later, I got a court notice at my old place. Turns out my dad tried to sell off part of the family land. What he didn't realize was that I'd locked the deed up 2 years before when he accidentally tried to remortgage it without me knowing. I just left it stuck in legal limbo, waiting. He triggered the whole thing himself. Because of that, his deal fell apart. His buyer bylaid, which caused a fraud investigation. Not because I made it happen, but because I didn't stop it. I didn't write a blog post. I didn't put out some big, dramatic reveal. I didn't even text screenshots to the group chat. I just vanished. No happy birthday calls, no helping out financially. No, maybe next time. That's what really got to them, because narcissists don't care about consequences. They're scared of being irrelevant. They're afraid of being on a stage with nobody watching. One morning, I went to the post office. Not for mail, just to pick up a little thing I'd ordered. Somebody in line behind me was on the phone. Let's just say I overheard that Mia's fiancé took off before the wedding. So my brother vanished, took off with all his cash. I didn't look back, never gave a statement, never explained anything. I just disappeared. No forwarding address, no phone number, nothing. They thought being quiet meant I was weak. They had no clue it was a choice. It was a clean break, like surgery. Not with words, but by just not being there. The kind of gone that can't be undone. The kind that forces people to deal with the mess they made. They can't guilt-trip me anymore. They can't reach me when the rent's late or their credit cards are maxed out. They can't pretend everything's hunky-dory when they need another handout. 'Cause there's no we anymore. It's just them and a mailbox that says no messages. You know what's crazy? When you finally walk away from people who built their whole lives on using you, they don't just crumble. They just stood there, stunned, like someone muted the TV and they can't find the remote. That's exactly what it was like. Even after everything went up in flames. After all the drama, the phone calls, the silence, they still thought I'd come crawling back, because I always had, but not this time. I got a completely new phone number. Not just a new SIM card, I mean a whole new carrier, a new country code. No forwarding, no automated reply, just nothing. I even closed that joint bank account Dad set up for emergencies. I tucked my bank statements into a secure online place. I changed my medical power of attorney. I erased all their names from the documents. I even switched the emergency contact on my driver's license from my mom to just nobody. They have no clue where I'm crashing. They don't know where I punched the clock. Honestly, they probably aren't even sure if I'm still around, and that gets to them. I came back a month ago, just a one-time thing. I didn't go to their place, didn't go to the vineyard. I did drive past the wedding spot, the one I'd canceled. It was empty, deserted. A for sale sign was hanging all wonky on the gate out front. There was a smashed-up bouquet all wilted on the rocks. It felt good. I cranked the windows down. The air smelled like rain and sadness. Before I left, I did one thing. I went over to the mailbox by the entrance and slid in a little envelope. No return address, of course. Inside, a printout of that last wedding bill I paid with a sticky note on top. It simply said, "Thanks for nothing." I've stopped checking the old email account, but every so often I peek in to see what's going on. One unread message just said, "Please just talk to us." Didn't open it. Another one said, "We don't know who you are anymore." That one cracked me up. Because finally they were right. I'm not the guy who wired money at 3 in the morning. I'm not the emergency contact. I'm not the wedding planner, the free shrink, the invisible sibling, or the guilt-trip son. I'm just some dude now living a different life one they can't get at, can't mess with, can't change. I got a new mailbox last week. It was metal, shiny, and had a lock, one of those secure ones where stuff can only go in. When the guy was putting it up, he asked what I wanted on the little nameplate. I told him no name, just a note. So right below the keyhole it says, "This box does not accept apologies." And the quiet I've been hearing every single day now, it's peace.